Okay, so we are going to be doing composition of functions. So I'm starting from, sorry, one second. I'm starting from the lower half of page 12 in your notes, 3.4 section, right? Section 3.4, I'm doing the lower half because the top half is just operations. So let's just fill this in. So always remember, when you need to do composition of function, what you will see is f of f with an open circle G, not a closed dot, or not circle square dot, open dot G, which basically means this is the same as saying f of g of x. Means there is this g of x is the inner function. So you always start working with this inner function, and when you find the value for this, you apply it to the outer function. So there's this whole inner function and the outer function, and the inner function is what is calculated first, and the output of that is used for the outside function. So let's go ahead and look at some of these problems. So I have two functions, f of x and g of x. So let's go ahead, and the first couple of questions, they're just talking about making sure that we know how to evaluate. So for example, between a and b, I'll just pick b. It's asking us what is f of -1. So that means I'm looking at function f, that with this one, and we all know that -1 represents the x. So when x equals to -1, what is the value of f of x, the y value? So you're going to go here and you're still going to say f of -1 equals 2 instead of x, because which is the input, is going to be -1 squared minus 3, which is nothing but 2 times 1 minus 3. That's going to be -1. That's it. So this is old stuff. This is not new stuff. The new stuff starts when you actually see this open dot. f of 2, f of g of -2. So let's start with D, and then we'll jump back to C, because this is function within the same function is being used as a loop here, whereas this is two different functions. And let's look at this. So first of all, you always want to rewrite it in the form that you understand. So the minute you see an open dot, you know it is a function within a function, and in this, outside function is f, inside function is g of -2. You always start working with evaluating the function inside. So you will start working with, and you'll evaluate what is g of -2. So what does that mean? That means you'll go to the function g, and x is equal to -2, so 4 times -2, which is going to be -8. But we don't stop here. We have only done the inside one. We have only done the inside one, whose value is -8. So I want to take this -8 and apply it to the outside function, which is f. So basically the f stays outside. I'm going to evaluate that as a second step, but instead of g of -2, I'm going to write the value, which is -8. So now what am I supposed to do? You're supposed to go to the function f, and you are supposed to input for x is -8. So 2 times -8 square minus 3, which is 2 times -8 square is 64, minus 3, which is 125. 128 minus 3, which is 125. Okay, so pretty straightforward. You're just evaluating what's inside and then applying that to the outside. Same thing here. As always, first thing you do is to rewrite this. So you do, this one is, because you see an open dot, this is nothing but f. It's a f of 2. In this case, it just happens that both of them happen to be f, which is okay. You can still do it. You can still do it. Start with the inside, which is f of 2. Go to f of x. 2 instead of x squared will be 2 squared, because that's your input, minus 3, which is going to be 2 to 8 minus 3 is 5. But you're not done there, right? You've just done this. You still have this sitting outside. So you're going to do f of, but instead of f of 2, it is going to be 5. So f of 5 is going to be, so again you're going to go to this function, 2 instead of x squared is 5 squared, minus 3, which is what? 5 squared is 25 times 2 is 50, minus 3 is 47. That's the final answer. Oh, sorry, here we go. You can't see it. Here we go. Okay. Now I'm jumping on to E and F, and if you notice, both E and F are different from what I just did in C and D. C and D had an input instead of x. It actually had a number as an input. It does make it a little easier. This one has an input of an x itself. So first of all, anyway, before we even do that, let's go ahead and rewrite it in the form we understand. Because this is an open dot, this is function within a function, function within a function. But what do you notice? My inside function g of x, it says just g of x, which I have to evaluate. There's nothing to evaluate. I know the value of g of x is 4x. You're not evaluating it with any number. So the value for this is just 4x. So your next step is just going to be straight. Instead of g of x, you will write 4x. Because you're really not evaluating. Now this is where it gets, the new concept comes in. So we are saying, what is f of 4 of x? So first of all, you have to understand that I am looking at function f, which is here. And in this function f, so normally this function says, if I take x as an input, it is 2x squared minus 3. But no longer is x my input. My new input is going to be 4x. So wherever x occurs in my function definition, I need to replace it with 4x. It's like saying, what is f of 5? So what will you do? 2, 5 square. Wherever x occurs, you replace it with whatever is here. Same thing. My new input is 4x. No longer is it x. So you're going to write the same 2. Instead of this x, you're going to write the new input 4x squared minus 3. That's it. Now you just have to kind of sort of simplify this. 2 stays as 2. And 4x squared is, you remember you have to square both of them. It's 4 times. So this is going to be 16x squared minus 3. And I can multiply these two. 2 times 16 is 32x squared minus 3. This is x squared. Alright, so that is my E. Moving on to F. Again, first thing I'm going to do is to rewrite this as G is outside. My inner function is f of x. You just have to follow the same direction. The second one is always the inside one. So my first step is to evaluate f of x, but there's nothing to evaluate. F of x is this. So I'm just going to say it's g of, because there's nothing to evaluate, I'll replace this with 2x squared minus 3. Then what are you going to do? Pay attention. Which function am I working with? I'm working with g. It says g of x equals to 4x. That means g of 2x squared minus. So this is my new input. And in this g function, wherever there is an x, that gets replaced by the new one. So I'm just highlighting this so that I know what to replace. So basically I do 4 stays as 4. Only thing, the x is supposedly the input, but I don't have x as the input. I have this as the input. So this is 2x squared minus 3. And then that's it. And then you can just multiply this. 4 times 2 is 8x squared. There's nothing else to be done. And this is minus 4 3s are 12. That's it.